The nation is grieving and has been grieving for more than a decade. That we actually stood there idly and watched as our fellow Christians are being massacred. This thing that is happening is so well organized, so well planned, so well funded, so well orchestrated that the people who are funding them are in government. We have seen videos where helicopters are dropping down and sending weapons to these Boko Haram guys in their bushes where they fight, where they gather to actually decide where to attack next. They have access to weapons, they have access to money, they have access to everything. That president was brought into power by elements connected to President Barack Obama. Some people are now already beginning to call Nigeria a Muslim nation because of all these things they are doing, because of this political capture of the nation by these extreme Islamic elements. That 90-something% of these fighters who fight for Boko Haram and ISWAP and whatever are people coming from outside of Nigeria. How do you then take killers, bloodthirsty, murderous, genocidal killers, and send them through a few months of whatever you call rehabilitation, and then send them into the society, the same country of people that they have vowed to kill and destroy? But the killers who are killing people are being called repentant and integrated into the society, even told at some point that they can actually fight to become presidents in Nigeria, that they can join politics. Killers! Killers! And somebody will be out there telling me that there is not a premeditated, calculated, well-organized, well-funded plan to genocidally eliminate Christians from Nigeria. That's a bloody lie from the pit of hell. And that's why we thank American senators, Ted Cruz and the rest of them.
We're also going to talk about legislation I introduced this week to protect Christians in Nigeria. Nigeria has seen a persecution of Christians that has been staggering. Just this week, over 60 people were murdered by jihadists, by radical Islamists in northeastern Nigeria. They executed soldiers. They went house to house.
Who are pushing and fighting that people need to know the truth. The reason they got away with it all these years is because they have kept it so quiet. They made sure that they suppressed everyone who wanted to talk about it. But today, the heavens have turned on our side, and we have decided that we must let the world know what is going on back home in Nigeria. Do you know what it means to have whole villages, whole towns of people emptied completely of the Christians there, and half of them were killed? The other half are now in internally displaced persons camps. There is a massive genocide going on in Nigeria.
We're looking at Pahalgam attacks 2 or 3 times a day. And this happened once in India and almost created a world war. Now it happens in Nigeria 2 or 3 times a day and nothing.
One lady was talking about how she lost 20 members of their family, and they don't just die in a very honorable way. You see them decapitating them with, like Mike Arnold said, dull axes, blunt axes. An axe that when you use it to kill someone, the axe will have to crush the skin and the bone before cutting off or severing off the head.
They are tired to be outside performing burial every day, and they expect us to silence. Now is an order. Nigerian government came out openly and denied there is no massacre.
They kill them in the most horrific and painful way you can ever imagine. And the whole world is staying quiet. How? How? Whole cities, I'm talking about cities and towns, finished, gone. Nobody in there. And the plan is not just to invade and just kill. They want to either convert you to start to think or worship like them, or they make you go and meet your savior.
Right.
This is what we are dealing with in Nigeria. This is very complex, so you need to listen very carefully.
Yeah.
A systemic overhaul, because the thing has gone so deep into the system, and it troubles my mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for joining us today at the Speansee Show. Please like, subscribe, and click that notification button so when we get information out, you can get information in. This is the Nigerian genocide that's happening right now. We have just we're getting information on this thing every day. But this right here, this video from front to back, it's going to show you how deep and how far this thing is really going. We have Mr. J.C Okechukwu with us. He is a media consultant, filmmaker, actor, and activist, and compulsive Pan-Africanist who has followed this, and he's been in Nigeria, in Lagos, Nigeria. He knows the ins and outs. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to blow your mind of what is happening in Nigeria, what has been going on for longer than we knew. It looking like a genocide of Christians, and it's not just for simple just to kill Christian measures. This is for land and for minerals as well. This goes very far. So I would like you to, once you start watching this, this is going to blow your mind. It blew me away. In watching this thing and hearing this thing through the whole thing, you're going to be shocked. Let's get into this. One love. With you, I want to thank you for joining us here today. There's a few people in Nigeria that are willing to speak up and out there on the internet about this, and you're one of them. So thank you for your courage to do that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
What's going on over there?
So in Nigeria right now, like you've seen all over social media and elsewhere, the nation is grieving and has been grieving for more than a decade. It boggles the mind, to be honest, that we actually stood there idly and watched as our fellow Christians are being massacred. And when I say this has been going on for more than a decade, you need to understand that I actually mean more than a decade, close to 15, 16 years now. And the reason it has gone unnoticed is because this thing that is happening is so well organized, so well planned, so well funded, so well orchestrated that it gets all the way to the point of even government. We've seen prominent government officials, retired, who came out openly on national TV and declared that the people who are funding Boko Haram and ISIS, which of course is related, and ISWAP, and all the other big terrorist organizations that now call Nigeria home, that the people who are funding them are in government. In fact, a former defense intelligence guy, some higher up guy there who eventually retired, came out on national TV and said that a sitting governor in the northern part of Nigeria was the sponsor of Boko Haram. In fact, he named that guy as the commander of Boko Haram. Said that they had spoken with some Boko Haram guys who came out and wanted to, he called those ones repented. I think he believed they were actually truly repented. And then he said they interviewed them. And those ex-Boko Haram fighters told them point blank that the commander of Boko Haram in the whole of Nigeria was actually a sitting governor. I don't know if that governor is still there now because this interview happened years ago. You can imagine such revelation coming out and nobody did anything. People have been exposed. Nobody does anything. Somebody will say, oh, DSS, Nigeria, is an equivalence of America's Secret Service. That they know the people who are sponsoring Boko Haram. Forget about going to fight against these guys. Go after the guys who are funding it. Because we have seen videos where helicopters are dropping down and sending weapons to these Boko Haram guys in their bushes where they fight, where they gather to actually decide where to attack next. Helicopters. And we're talking the American type of helicopters, big helicopters. They have access to weapons. They have access to money. They have access to everything. And we had, at a point in the history of Nigeria, a president who was ready. If you watch my video that I just launched yesterday on my YouTube channel, I talked about the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who actually had the guts to defeat Boko Haram, wanted actually to defeat Boko Haram, was ready to beat them silly and kick them out of Nigeria. But guess what? America refused to sell weapons to him, and that was Obama's America. Barack Obama refused to sell weapons to this man. Even when the guy went all the way to Israel to go and see whether he would source weapons, we heard that the Obama administration went all the way to Israel to actually make sure that the guys that the president was talking to didn't sell weapons to him. So they went and destroyed that deal as well. So it wasn't enough that they didn't sell weapons to him. They also made sure that they followed the plans for him to buy weapons from Israel. In other words, they were looking for anywhere he wanted to go and get weapons. If America had allies there, America would make sure those allies didn't sell weapons. And this was a guy who was bombing Boko Haram hideouts in Nigeria, destroying them. It was so obvious to even an unborn child that we were dealing with Boko Haram. If that guy had been allowed to do what he was doing, nobody would have heard of Boko Haram after that particular year. But guess what? They now schemed and kicked him out of power. And do you know who came to scheme to get him out of power? The president that eventually came to consolidate Boko Haram in Nigeria, to consolidate their hold in Nigeria, and to even make Boko Haram more popular, almost like they're a third arm of the government. That president was brought into power by elements connected to President Barack Obama. And I have it in my video. Anybody who doubts me should go to J.C Okechukwu channel on YouTube, and you see the part 2 of my video where I wrote Christian Genocide. That's the title, Christian Genocide. The truth behind Mike Arnold's truth, part 2. Go watch it. You'll see the evidence. You know David Axelrod of the Democrat Party, right? You know him. David Axelrod's organization or company was sent to Nigeria, and David Plouffe, who was Obama campaign manager, was one of the guys who came in the name of this company, and they came to Nigeria and created what we now know as the All Progressives Congress, the APC, the party that brought Buhari to power. And the plan was that they were going to make that APC to become a one-party. They were going to use APC to create a one-party state in Nigeria. And that they were going to change Nigeria. Nigeria was going to be taken through a massive, dramatic policy shift that would take Nigeria far away from its secular origins, because Nigeria is supposed to be a secular state. In Nigeria, we have Christians. Everybody who knows the history of Nigeria, who knows the truth of Nigeria, who understands the dynamics and who is on ground in Nigeria, knows that no matter how you know Christians in Nigeria, there are Muslims. The numbers may not be too much, but there are far more Christians in Nigeria than Muslims. But today, what we are seeing is a situation whereby some people are now already beginning to call Nigeria a Muslim nation because of all these things they are doing, because of this political capture of the nation by these extreme Islamic elements. So I just wanted to give you a little background of where this whole story started from, because it was under that same Muhammad Buhari, who was the immediate past president of Nigeria, under him that Boko Haram started having a program called Operation Safe Corridor. That Operation Safe Corridor is christened a Repentant Boko Haram. This is what they do with the Operation Safe Corridor, which Buhari introduced. So these same Boko Haram fighters who are killing and decapitating, amputating, disemboweling pregnant women, still doing it till this moment, you know what they do with them? They created a program where hundreds of them will be marched into a center where they say is a rehabilitation center. And when they get in there, after like a few months, they will bring them out and say, oh, these guys have now repented. They are no longer Boko Haram fighters. So we're going to allow them to be integrated into the Nigerian society and become like every other citizen. They can even join the army, join police, become civil servants, anything. Meanwhile, we were already told that 90-something% of these fighters who fight for Boko Haram and ISWAP and whatever are people coming from outside of Nigeria. How do you then take killers, bloodthirsty, murderous, genocidal killers, and send them through a few months of whatever you call rehabilitation, and then send them into the society, the same country of people that they have vowed to kill and destroy? And so we now have these guys in different aspects of life in Nigeria. They are in different sectors today. Nobody knows where they are. And this program is still going on, maintained by the current regime in Nigeria, which is also APC regime. Can you imagine this? And they are having meetings with these killers, having peace talks with the killers. Meanwhile, a Christian a freedom fighter who is from the southeast of Nigeria has been extraordinarily renditioned to Nigeria and put in prison, and nobody is talking about releasing him. But the killers who are killing people are being called repentant and integrated into the society, even told at some point that they can actually fight to become presidents in Nigeria, that they can join politics. Killers! Killers! The Christians, a Christian boy called Sunday Jackson was in his farm. A Fulani man went to him to go and attack him, stabbed him twice. And this guy turned around, took the knife from him and stabbed him too and killed him. Guess what? They said they are sentencing him to death. And the Nigerian Supreme Court upheld it, that the guy should be sentenced to death for self-defense. And somebody will be out there telling me that there is not a premeditated, calculated, well-organized, well-funded plan to genocidally eliminate Christians from Nigeria. That's a bloody lie from the pit of hell. And that's why we thank American senators, Ted Cruz and the rest of them, who are pushing and fighting that people need to know the truth. The reason they got away with it all these years is because they have kept it so quiet. They made sure that they suppressed everyone who wanted to talk about it. But today, the heavens have turned on our side, and we have decided that we must let the world know what is going on back home in Nigeria.
Wow.
Sorry, I took a lot of your time, but I needed to give you that background.
No, if possible, if we can get those links for your YouTube videos,
Yes.
maybe send them to me, and I'm going to put them in the descriptions below for people to go to and watch, so that on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and so that the people out there, you guys can go and watch what he's talking about in full and get a better and more descriptive into what this gentleman is saying right now. Because what we're seeing right now with the stats that came out, we're looking at like 5,000 to 6,000 Christians a year being killed.
It's more than that.
It's more than that.
So guess what? Sorry to cut you, my dear.
Go.
Between a few months ago and now, in this year alone, over 7,000 killed. And they didn't count it. They didn't start counting from January. This year, 2025 alone, so far, the year is not ended yet. You have over 7,000 killed. And I keep hearing a lot of news media in the States saying, over 50,000 since 2009. There's this magazine, I will send you the link. It's called, I think it's Catholic Monitor or something like that. I'll send you the link so you can see. They did a proper research and pulled up their stats. And what they came up with since 2009 is 125,000 Christians killed. I keep hearing people say over 50, 125,000 Christians. That's why when Bill Maher was making that video that went viral and started this whole firestorm, he said that over 100,000. So I had to agree with Bill that it wasn't just 100, it was over 120,000 that have been killed so far. And I bet you that if we look very closely and go really on the ground and begin to do the proper math, you will find out that it even surpasses that particular number. All of these to me are official figures. Do you know what it means to have whole villages, whole towns of people emptied completely of the Christians there? And half of them were killed. The other half are now in internally displaced persons camps. And somebody says what? There is a massive genocide going on in Nigeria.
Wow. If the people out there were to look at this right now and get those stats, even if we went conservative with that, saying there's like, say, 8,000 a year, 7,000 to 8,000 a year. Okay. We're looking at like 50 or 60 people killed every day.
Yeah.
So here we are, we're looking at Hamas. Is October 7th is happening 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. And then we're looking at
maybe even more.
We're looking at 9/11, which happened in America, happening maybe once and a half or 2 times a year. And what just happened in India with Operation Sindoor, 26 people were killed in Pahalgam with 4 terrorists. And it took 2 two countries to war, almost into nuclear war over these four terrorists. And that was 26
Then
people
look
in
at
one
the
day.
figure we're dealing with.
We're looking at Pahalgam attacks 2 or 3 times a day. And this happened once in India and almost created a world war. Now it happens in Nigeria 2 or 3 times a day and nothing.
You can't even talk about it. And the most shameful part of it is that a whole Al Jazeera, they parroted the whole Palestinian genocide from almost the first day. Al Jazeera allowed an opinion piece on their platform that denies that there is Christian genocide in Nigeria. When I saw that, I was so terribly disgusted because I know that there's no way you could turn to Al Jazeera in the last few years and not see them screaming genocide, genocide in Palestine. But the actual genocide has been going on for years that you could actually have sent your men on ground to go and verify. They never did it. BBC never did it. CNN never did. Nobody. Mainstream media, they all just waited for the government to give them their own narrative, their talking point, so they can parrot that. None of them. But let me tell you something that will shock you. In the days when President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan in Nigeria was ready to destroy Boko Haram and was finishing Boko Haram, bombing them and sending them away from the country, guess what happened? Before we knew it, we woke up one day, BBC, CNN, all the mainstream media networks were on ground in Nigeria. In fact, they were in the north. Guess what they came to do? They came to lie and deny that the president was actually not fighting Boko Haram, that he was killing innocent people. Basically, you could tell that they were defending Boko Haram's right to exist. They were defending Boko Haram when the man was busy killing them. But the moment Boko Haram gained power under Buhari and under APC, no single one of these media networks have been to Nigeria to record the plight of Nigerian Christians being massacred. When you see the videos, I don't have to tell you about the videos. They are all over the place. Go see. When you see the videos, a single human being can sit down and lose 12 members of his family. One lady was talking about how she lost 20 members of their family, and they don't just die in a very honorable way. You see them decapitating them with, like Mike Arnold said, dull axes, blunt axes, an axe that when you use it to kill someone, the axe will have to crush the skin and the bone before cutting off or severing off the head. It's not a sharp one. This is how they kill. They kill them in the most horrific and painful way you can ever imagine. And the whole world is staying quiet. How? Something that is supposed to be the most populous black nation on earth, and we are allowing fundamentalists to take over. And the shame of them all is that the Nigerian Christians or churches have also been bought over by the government, and many of them started keeping quiet. If not now that we are raising alarm, that some of them are crawling out of their shells and beginning to talk. Most of them kept quiet. I don't know if it is fear. I don't know if it is a diabolical spell. I don't know what it is. But this is what has been going on. Whole cities, I'm talking about cities and towns, finished, gone. Nobody in there. These guys have taken over. And when they take over, they rename the towns after themselves. Invading terrorists. They rename towns taken away from Christians. They take away their ancestral homeland. They take away their farmlands. They take away everything. And these guys end up in IDP camps, and the government refused to admit it. I have sent my team one time in Nigeria to go to some of those camps. They went to one state and videoed about 3 different camps at the same time. But you will never hear it in the media in Nigeria. They wanted everything to be swept under the carpet so that the whole genocidal mission of these terrorists will carry on, will continue. They're coming all the way from the north. They will come down to the north central. They will go to southwest, and then they will enter the east. In the eastern part of Nigeria, okay, so in the southwest, we have almost, the Christians and Muslims are almost evenly split, all right? In the middle belt, you even have more predominantly Christian communities in the middle belt than in the southwest, because southwest is almost like 50-50. But in the southeast and southeast and south is something they created much later, because that southeast and south are supposed to be called Eastern Nigeria. So in the olden days, it was known as Eastern Nigeria. So let's call it what it's supposed to be, Eastern Nigeria. In that Eastern Nigeria today, about 97 to 98% of the population are Christians. And this is the real target. And that's where all the oil money in Nigeria is domiciled. And this is where they are headed. As at yesterday, 2 days ago, the Department of State Security, DSS, the equivalent of U.S. Secret Service, was telling the army that the terrorists have already planned an attack, and they called it imminent attack in 2 different states. One is in Southwest Ondo, it's called Ondo. The next one is in the Middle Belt, it's called Kogi. Now, this Kogi state is sharing a common border with one of the biggest states in the eastern part of Nigeria, southeast or eastern Nigeria. And of course, Benue, where they have wreaked their worst havoc, is sharing a border with another major eastern Nigerian state, Enugu. So Kogi shares border with Anambra. Benue shares border with Enugu. You can see how close they have come, all the way from the far north. They have now killed and come down to the point where they are now closing in on the eastern part of Nigeria. And once they have subdued all these other neighboring towns, they will use everything they have within their arsenal to invade the eastern part of Nigeria. And the plan is not just to invade and just kill. They want to either convert you to start to think or worship like them, or they make you go and meet your savior.
Right.
This is what we are dealing with in Nigeria. And they take over the resources, because all the places they have kicked these Christians out, there are so many mineral resources in those places. They take over those places and they mine them, they sell them for their masters, they make the money, so they fund their operation. They have more than enough money. They don't need any external money from anywhere else. This is why there's a big problem in Nigeria, and people are acting like it's just business as usual, like nothing is happening. Nothing to see there.
So this would be like Hamas going into Jerusalem, doing what they did, or into Israel, doing what they did. Then Israel go ahead and saying, Hamas, hey, why don't you come and join our military? And letting these Hamas terrorists join our military and enter into our states. But this is kind of, that's the picture I'm kind of getting a look at. And what
there you go.
So there's a corrupt government somewhere in here, right? That's what we're seeing is corruption in the government and the military.
Serious corruption. So much denial.
This is how countries are taken over.
Yes, it is taken over. Look, how do you explain that the terrorists we're talking about now? So every year, our government votes hundreds of millions of dollars in what they call security votes. All right. In Nigeria, that's trillions of dollars of naira. Okay. So you vote that much money that can buy whole nations, right? And you say this is for security. But the people you are fighting, that you are buying all these weapons from America to go and fight, we are seeing government elements from the government inviting them to peace meeting, and they ride on their bikes majestically into an area to have peace talks with Nigerian government officials. And then after that, another state government now has another peace talk, so-called peace talk, with these same terrorists, and you see hundreds of them. RPGs, AK-47s, and they majestically walk, come in there, finish, take pictures with some of the people, and then they go. We are watching them. It can even be on live TV. Nobody does anything. The same criminals you claim you are fighting against. I don't get that. How do you fight against these people? And we are seeing them every day. And you are having peace talk. Nigeria, when Nigeria used to have one of the strongest militaries in the whole of Africa. Went to keep peace in Sierra Leone, went to keep peace in Liberia, went to keep peace in almost every troubled region in Africa. And everywhere they went, they conquered. What happened to that military? Compromise.
That's the ECOWAS military? So
yeah.
So where does say Burkina Faso, Chad, and Niger, and those that are surrounding those areas, are they coming in from there, or are they just in Nigeria?
Okay, so I'm so happy you brought this up. Here's what's going on. You see, we recently had a massive revolution in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in Niger, where the corrupt regimes that were very lenient towards neocolonialism were removed from power. These were like puppet regimes that served the interest of the colonial powers, France, right?
Yeah, France.
And so these revolutionaries came in as military hunters, and they just came in and took over. And Africa has been the best for it. Everybody has been so happy about it. But guess what? Because these guys had some sort of partnership with Russia, Russia kind of helped them with it. Russia equipped their army, stood on ground, helped them to fight terrorists, and trained their armies on how to fish these terrorists out. Because the Burkinabe people themselves were alleging that when France was holding sway in their country, that they kept claiming that they are there to fight terrorism, but every place they saw French boots on ground, terrorists multiplied in those areas. And they were saying, how can you keep telling us you're fighting terrorism, but the terrorists are multiplying in all the regions? And they began to find out that most of the places where the terrorists were, that these were places where they had their precious minerals, and that French soldiers had access to this place with the terrorists. They were not asking who is fighting who, because every time you say you're fighting, we're seeing multiplication. So you are the problem. And now when these new governments came to power in that Sahel region, they began to beat these guys silly. Guess what? All these terrorists they are chasing out of the Sahel have found a home now in Nigeria. To the point that even the president of Niger Republic was recently accusing Nigeria of aiding and abetting terrorists who were coming across the border, because Niger shares a common border with Nigeria through Borno State and Yobe State in the northeast. Okay, so they were accusing Nigerian government of aiding and abetting terrorists that were crossing over. Remember, the uranium that France was crying for losing in Niger also spills over into the other side of Nigeria at the Sambisa forest. But guess what? Look up Sambisa forest now. The moment you write Sambisa forest, you will see Boko Haram. That's the proper headquarters of Boko Haram in Nigeria, Sambisa forest. Sitting there is a massive deposit of uranium. How come all the places where these major minerals are is where these terrorists are staying? Are they selling it on their own? They have backers. They have sponsors. This is what is going on. Minerals, part of what is causing this. So they now give it a religious coloration, because the guys who they are using are people who are also given to conquest, ideological conquest. So they use that to begin to cleanse. So they are using one stone to kill multiple birds in this campaign they are carrying out. And the Christians are the biggest losers in the process. That's why when Trump designated Nigeria in the past, in 2020, 2019, 20, I said that was the only time in recent memory that people began to heave a sigh of relief, because it had such a massive impact. The Boko Haram activities began to reduce. A lot of things began to reduce. And the moment Biden came to power, remember what I told you about how that Democrat Party under Obama came to set up this same party in Nigeria. So we believe that the party that is midwifing and overseeing all this wickedness in Nigeria is a direct offshoot of the DNC in America. So the moment Biden came to power, to prove us right, Biden did not even stay up to 1 year in his presidency. He got Blinken to remove the designation that President Trump put there, even when things had gotten worse. On what basis did you remove it? Blinken said it was the genocide that is happening, or the killing that is going on, is because of climate change.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that it was because of climate change that herders were killing, terrorists were killing Christians? This was what they said, and they removed it. Less than 1 year in office. And that's how we got to square one. And now those guys now began to move in again. In fact, they lost their mind. This time around, they go to wherever. In fact, they even hoisted a flag up on the soils of Nigeria, took over a massive area and hoisted their flags and said, this is now our country. In Nigeria. Wow. They even beat the security at the Nigerian Defense Academy. They went in there. Live. Nigerian Defense Academy, which was what led that Nigerian Defense Intelligence guy to come to national TV to expose what was going on.
Wow.
This is the extent to which the decay has gone. And people are playing around with words.
And Christians are the targets.
They are the targets. Go to the IDP camps. Go to Nigeria and visit the internally displaced persons camps, and you tell me who you find there. Yes, we do have one or two camps, or one or two, that you still have predominant Muslims there because they also killed Muslims.
Yeah.
No, you know, when people come and say, they say, oh, there is no Christian genocide because Muslims get killed. We said, we've never denied the Muslims get killed in the process. Many people believe that this killing of Muslims is more like a collateral damage.
Yeah.
Many people believe that they just do that because they get caught in the line of fire, all right? But these guys don't set out like on Friday and say, we are going out to go and burn down mosques and kill everybody inside and blah, blah, blah. That's not what we see. Is a pattern of every Sunday. You see people in church worshiping, they open fire, kill everybody. Sometimes they kill them and put on the garment of the choristers, the choir members, take on their garments and wear it on themselves and begin to dance over the dead bodies of the people they've killed. They've done this several times. That's why in the report that Bill may have quoted, you will hear that he said over 100,000 Christians killed and over 18,000 churches destroyed or burned down.
Wow.
And that's not a joke. And the world is keeping quiet. Please explain that to me. Help me make this make sense.
I don't think we can make it make sense. I think that's the problem. Is we can't make sense out of this. I mean, when exposing your faith literally becomes a death sentence to these people that are going to church and stuff like that, and now Christians around the world are watching. Most of us are watching this and finally saying what's going on in Nigeria. Like you said, it's been going on for a long time. Maybe it's more amplified now. I don't know if Boko Haram is and ISWAP and all of them are bigger now and doing more damage at this moment in time because they see it getting ready maybe to be attacked. But like there's going to be something's coming up right now in Nigeria. I believe that there's going to be a major change and maybe some big fighting going on in Nigeria against these two people and maybe the Boko Haram. And I got a feeling that we're going to be a lot of smoke is going to be going up over there because I do believe that I don't know what America can do other than, I mean, I know we got Ted Cruz and now Ashley Moody, who is Marco Rubio's assistant. She took over Marco Rubio's spot here in the Senate for Florida, along with Rick Scott. Those are the two senators here. Now they're pushing for it as well. So now we've got major players in America that are pushing into doing something in Nigeria, and these are big names too. And once this happens, and once Donald Trump gets this on his desk, and he gets that video and that description of what you've just provided, and starts seeing what's going on, I got a feeling Tinubu's going to have a lot of answering to do. And it goes deeper than just what's happening right now. And like you said, you've taken a deeper look into this, and it goes way back. So finding the root cause of all this, the root cause, what do you think the root cause is? This just extremely over minerals? Is it over genocide of Christians, or is it both? The minerals are the funding for the genocide and the takeover of Nigeria by the Muslim community.
Okay, so I'm going to make reference to videos that are out there, okay?
Sure.
For everyone to see. You go to my account on X, there's a video I pinned there. I have it pinned. So it's an excerpt of the interview by that DNI. My account on X is at J.C Okechukwu, J.C Okechukwu on X. You will go to my account immediately, you'll see it pinned. You watch it. You will hear him. This is a guy that was so highly placed at the defense intelligence, community. He made it clear that the plan is to Islamize Nigeria, carry out a jihad and Islamize Nigeria. There was a guy called Dr. Obadiah Mailafia who was eventually killed. of blessed memory, he was one of the first persons who spoke with these Boko Haram guys that came out and declared that their sponsors are in the government of Nigeria at that time, and that even a sitting governor was their commander in Nigeria. So from every indication and from so many, there is a jihad, more like, that is taking place in Nigeria. So that when that jihad happens, according to this DNI guy, that they will now establish Sharia law for everyone. But now, because some of the extremist part of Islam or part of our Muslim brothers, some of the extremist elements in their midst enjoy this whole idea of let's Islamize everywhere, let's get everything done. They have also globalists who are playing into, who they have played into their hands. So this desire has now made them victims to some globalists who want to introduce some elements of control into the Nigerian society. This is very complex, so you need to listen very carefully. There was something that came up in Nigeria recently, and I happen to be one of the persons who raised the alarm and made sure we fought it to a standstill, even though we haven't really won. This GMO thing came up. When the GMO thing came up and Bill Gates' name was mentioned, there was a doctor in Nigeria who came on record, who went on record and declared that what these guys are doing is that they are paying some killers. Killers are sent into where our organic farmers are to kill them, abduct them, and send them away from their places so that the farms they have will now be converted to GMO farms. And so the only few that are allowed to return to farming are the ones who agree to go and become GMO farmers. The guy went on record and talked about it. So you can see the complex nature of this. This group is intent on trying to Islamize the whole country and make Nigeria a Muslim nation. But there are other guys also who have all the money and they have their own interests. So they want to use these guys so that they can use one stone to kill multiple birds. So as you are cleansing the land and populating the place with people who are lenient to your globalist control, ideas, you are also eliminating Christians, because at the end of the day, the Christians are against GMOs. They are for organic living, so they are a threat. The Christians are against Islamization because, of course, they are Christians, so they are a threat. So you have two enemies, okay, coming after you. The Christians are supposed to be at the receiving end, and they're supposed to be the losers in this game. But the overall thing is that everybody has seen it, that this is almost like a global jihad sponsored against Christians in Nigeria. Even though we have moderate Christians, moderate Muslims, who are also against what is happening, speaking up against it, and they also get killed for being moderate. Because what these guys who are killing these things are looking for is not what the moderate Muslims are looking for. The moderate Muslims prefer that they live together with their Christian brothers and sisters. But these guys don't believe that should be the case. They believe that everybody should worship exactly the way they worship. That's what is fueling this, and that's why we are where we are today. That's why we are calling on the United States of America, take action. The moment you take action, you will see that there is going to be a complete slowdown in the activities. It will just, you will see how everything will begin to pipe low. Everybody will start taking responsibility. Let me give you one example. Just today, I woke up, and the moment I went online, the first news I saw was that, oh my goodness, the Nigerian government is now seeking a long-term funding from the United Nations to help take care of displaced persons in Nigeria. First time in about 15 years, something they denied existed, they are now seeking funding from the UN. By the way, the UN has more than enough resources to take care of those people in the IDP, but it's been almost individuals just individuals and different private organizations that have been taking care of them. And we're talking millions. Official figure is telling you 3 to 4 million. Unofficial is about 9 to 10 million people displaced in Nigeria. Can you imagine that? And you are just now in 2025 trying to seek funding from the UN to take care of them, because you never wanted the whole world to know that these IDPs are there, because the question would have been raised, who are these people in the IDPs? And they would have found out that about 98 to 99% of them are actually Christians.
Oh, wow. Wow. So there's the corruption. And if they would have funded it back then, we wouldn't have this huge case that we're looking at.
We wouldn't have this.
It could have been eliminated, or at least tamed.
Yes. They denied it.
Wow.
And claimed that the people in the IDPs are vagrants and criminals, according to Mike Arnold.
So what do you think?
21st century.
Wow. What a day that we live in.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are calling this the Nigerian Taliban.
Yeah.
And that's with Boko Haram and ISWAP. And
no, but you know, have you researched to know how many terrorist organizations call Nigeria home today? There's so many of them.
Yeah, I was looking at that. There's more than
a new one comes up almost every other week or month.
Right.
It is such a fertile ground for them. They love Nigeria. Nigeria has opened the doors for them. Yeah. They love Nigeria. Yeah.
So do you think,
why not separate Christians?
A lot of this has to do with Tinubu, I believe, because I think the president needs to take accountability for what is happening in his own country. And what are your thoughts on that?
So I've been very angry with the president, because I'm not in his head, on his mind, but I find it very disturbing that up until this moment, rather than admit the obvious, rather than admit the facts, and say, I even had to make a video to give them an example of what a proper, caring president should do, that the moment the regime, I don't know, I'm sure you must have seen what happened, in order to deflect from what was going on when the outcry just initially broke in Nigeria and all over the world, the presidency, rather than admit it and apologize, or even give Nigerians hope and say, listen, we are on this, we're going to do something about it. We heard this thing, we don't believe it is that way, but we're going to investigate, and then we're going to let you know what our findings are. At least give people the hope, rather than just dismiss it outrightly. You know what they did? In order to continue dismissing, they quickly went to invite Mike Arnold. Unfortunately for them, Mike Arnold, the American, has been fighting against this for the past maybe 10 years.
Wow.
They invited the wrong guy. They wanted him to come and help them change their narrative and tell the world that, hey, guys, we've been in Nigeria. Forget about all that stuff you hear. There is no Christian genocide. Mike Arnold, right there in front of the whole world at a press conference, exposed the lies and told the whole world that we have done our findings and there is a well-calculated, premeditated Christian genocide going on in Nigeria. Why can't Tinubu admit this and just say, this is what I am going to do as a president to stop this? This is what we are going to do. Let's investigate. Let's come out with our own findings. And if we do find out, we will make sure that it stops, because I am the president of both the Christians and the Muslims and everybody, and nobody should have to die because of who they want to worship or how they want to worship. Isn't this a no-brainer?
Yes.
Is this not a simple thing to do? Do you lose anything by doing that? We haven't heard that. They are sending lawmakers to America to go and lobby to stop Trump from designating Nigeria again. This is what we are seeing, and they are paying people on social media to tell anyone who says there's a genocide to shut up. This is what we're seeing. How can you be the president of all if this is what you're doing? It makes no sense to me. I'm still asking, how? Except if you know you're complicit in it.
That's the problem, yeah. I think there's a lot of complicity going on in this, but I think it's being exposed right now by people like yourself and by other people in Nigeria that are willing to come out and speak out like this. And this is
Yeah.
what we need to make. This is what it's becoming a headline finally in America. Uh,
Yeah.
for
Thank God.
Thank God, thank you, Lord. We praise you for that. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, because we want to see our Christian brothers and sisters and the Muslims over there that are moderates that are not wanting any of this happening.
Yes.
I mean,
Wonderful Muslims. There's so many beautiful Muslims. That a lot of my close friends are actually Muslims.
yeah,
And like I said in my video, we've always had Fulani people in our villages, in our forests, in our bushes. We've never had issues with them.
yeah,
Everybody, with some of our people even started eating their food. They speak our language. We've never had issues until this plan was born,
yeah,
until this global agenda was born to just systematically eliminate Christians and replace them with very ideologically warped and extremist elements
yes,
in the place of their land, on top of their lands. And the Christians don't. I told them to ask the president of Nigeria, can you show us one proof of where you have taken people in the IDPs, Christians, and returned them to their home after defeating the terrorists that took over their homes? No!
mm,
More Christians keep getting herded into all these IDPs. The ones that are lost forever.
yeah,
In a nation where you have security force to protect lives, properties.
right.
No,
No, there needs to be justice.
no,
Justice
that
needs
should
to be
stop.
done. I mean, justice is not being served.
Yes,
Even if they catch the
no,
bad
it's not
guys,
being served.
justice is not served, and that's the whole. That's what the president needs to be doing and making sure
Let us even see where they are catching the bad guys. Can we even see where they catch the bad guys?
yes,
I just told you the story of a guy that they went to stab, and the guy turned around and stabbed them and killed them, and they said you're gonna be sentenced to death. Can you even show us where you have caught a criminal, a terrorist, and sentence him to death or something? No, what we see is we are seeing them having meetings, press conference, they even videos of their killings, and yet the way get away with it. Nothing happens. You gotta be kidding me. What world are we living in like this?
yeah.
It's crazy.
But
In Nigeria,
now when we go to these places and we find out that that story you just told me that has a lot to do with the police department, wouldn't that be a police department investigation? What's going on with the police departments?
well,
Is Boko Haram involved in that?
so in Nigeria, so the regular Nigerians don't believe we have any police force. Yeah.
Oh,
So I mean, there's just a whole lot of corruption. Our police, they are so horribly underpaid. Their jobs, I mean, they just serve only the interest of the rich. There's really nothing that you can say, but we have wonderful people also in the police.
sure.
We have wonderful people in the army. But how do you explain this, my brother? Let me tell you this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the video on my phone. A soldier, and he was the second or third soldier in 1 week, who came out and said he has had enough. He was tired. He can't take this anymore, that he can't believe that their commanders are watching Christians crying out for help in Benue, and they're refusing to help the Christians. And rather than help the Christians, what they do is that the terrorists who had invaded the homes of these Christians are being made comfortable. They help them to settle in by building boreholes for them, building schools for their children. A soldier, Nigerian soldier, was raising alarm saying this. And that was right after another soldier had gotten up and said, how can our military be wanting to kill terrorists and we are being given orders not to kill them?
Wow.
I'm not making this up. The videos are everywhere online. Ask anyone. Any Nigerian that sees this video, let them prove me wrong. The videos are everywhere. I can even send to you.
That's crazy.
How do you then begin to deal with this kind of? There has to be a complete systemic overhaul.
Yeah.
A systemic overhaul, because the thing has gone so deep into the system, and it troubles my mind.
It needs to be taken care of, and it needs to be taken care of quick. I mean, for everybody that's out there watching this, I'm going to have your information is going to be, Mr. Okechukwu, your information is going to be showing on the bottom the whole time. His Twitter page, it's going to be showing down there. His YouTube page is going to be showing below him. Please go follow him, click on his links, and subscribe to his channels, because I'm sure in this moment that we've been together, which has been, I don't know what, 30, 40 minutes, we've gotten so much information that the world has been asking for. So you please go follow him and get more information on this. And as far as the America, we want to make an appeal to our President Trump right now that this needs to be handled directly and quickly, and to our senators in our states. And I encourage everybody out there to also call their congressmen and state representatives as well, and tell them that we want action taken against Nigeria, or for Nigeria, in this situation with Boko Haram and the terrorists and the extreme Islam and jihad that's going on, and the genocide that's going on in Nigeria. So we can do all that we can on our end here. And that's what this is all about. And we want to get more information out to you, and we're going to keep continuing getting this information out. Mr. Okechukwa, I would like to thank you so much for joining us here and explaining all this information to us. And I just want to pray that your people stay safe over there, and God's will be done, and that justice gets served over these people. Thank you once again.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much, brother. God bless you.
God bless you too.
For what you do. Bless you.
All right, bro. Hey,